Hello, friends, and welcome to Moonlit Lioness. I am very honored that you took the time to come and watch my astrology read today, and I thank you for that. Um, I am going to read the astrology for this week, and it looks like overall it's going to be a really nice week. Lots of Venus energy. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can see there. So today I thought I'd change my format a little bit from the previous formats and start with something that's not so, I guess, dry, and come up with something that is trying to be a little more intuitive as far as understanding the energies of the week. So I also wanted to add the moon. So here are the moon phases that are happening this week, starting today on Sunday and going through Saturday. And you can see here, we call this waning. The moon is waning toward a new moon. On Sunday, June 14th, there will be a new moon. And as the moon goes through these phases, it also is going through signs. So you can see on Sunday and Monday, it's in Pisces, and then it moves over to Aries on Tuesday, and it's in Aries on Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it's in Taurus. So about every 2.5 days, it's in a different sign, which gives our emotions, our how we feel. I mean, this is a big part of how we feel and our intuitive abilities, a different flavor. It's always changing. So, the moon goes through all the signs about every month. Well, it does go through the signs every month. And, so it's always changing. And it's nice to take advantage of, for example, with Pisces right now, the moon in Pisces, that's a very spiritual, formless kind of energy, and it's really good for connecting with the spirit, with the universe, and things like that. So if you can see here by the lotus flower, we've got a description of some of the Pisces energy. It's good for sleep, meditation, prayer, escape, nostalgia. It's also very impressionable. So on these days, you might be feeling some of these things, like you kind of want to retreat and just kind of take some time out of what you're doing. And then when we get into Tuesday and Wednesday, you might feel a lot more energy. You might feel emotionally bold and impulsive, energetic, courageous, want to initiate change or start something new. And that is what you see here. And then when we get into Taurus, Taurus is more of a fixed energy. It's building, it's earthy, it's sensual. So here we see sensual, secure. It likes to have its resources around it and feel secure. It's solid, it's fixed. Appreciation of art or food, those sensual things. So you might find yourself wanting to cook more, or, just enjoying fine art, or, something that really feeds your senses on these days. Okay, and then as far as the planetary aspects that are happening this week, we see here we've got Venus in Cancer conjunct Jupiter in Cancer. Okay, and that's a big deal. That's really nice. And then we've got Mercury square Aries, Mercury Cancer squaring Aries in, sorry, not Aries, Saturn and Aries. I can't read the symbol there. It's not very well put out, but that's okay. So, there's some energy going on here, and I'll explain more of what that means in the next slide. And then on Friday, we've got Venus squaring Chiron in Aries right here for a short while before Venus enters into Leo. So Venus is kind of the star of the show this week, and Venus is what we value and attract. So it's what we are attracted to and how we attract things to us. It's what we like. So you can see here, there's a cycle that we follow. There is a big cycle, a big clock in the sky with astrology, and let's, we just honor that and go with it. Go with the flow, I guess is what you say. Go with the flow. All right, so next, let's talk about the overall energy. So the overall energy, and I've talked about this before in my last ones, and you feel like I'm drumming it into the ground if you've listened to my previous astrology reads, but it is so important. It's something that has not been seen in modern history and will not be seen again for a long, long time. It's the grand mini trine right here between Pluto, the outer planets, Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus right here. It's not exact at this point. It will become exact in July, around July 7th, and then it kind of falls apart at the end of July. But what does this mean? What is this heralding in for all of us? And AI put together a nice slide for me. So it's creating this futuristic push forward. And if you can see, Uranus in Gemini is kind of like Marty McFly. Uranus is something unique and futuristic. And that's what he was doing. He was kind of moving into the future and then moving back again. And that's Gemini, moving around, moving to different places, connecting the future with the past. And Gemini is a lot of movement and thinking and interaction, and it's information as well. And so it shows Marty McFly here with that. And it talks about what is Uranus and Gemini? It's where minds connect. So here we are all on social media connecting. The information is flowing between our minds. And, we're looking toward the future because of it being in Gemini, or in Uranus, Uranus being in Gemini. With that look toward the future, we'll have breakthrough ideas amongst each other. There'll be a lot of communication going on and new ways of thinking. So all of that is working synergistically. These are all working synergistically together. So it's got a sextile to Neptune. And what is Neptune? Neptune is the spiritual side of things in its higher expression. And with spirit, you get vision. So when you get these visions, it creates action. We're like, oh, I've got a vision of the future and I want to act on that and make it happen. And that's what's happening. And we've got, it says here, courage follows faith. So it's like, you've got this faith in something, you've got a strong faith and trust in something. And so it gives you courage to move forward. And so you're taking something that's here and you're manifesting it. You're bringing it out. You're following a vision. You're following your ideals and bringing life to them. So it creates inspired leadership, spiritual courage, bold new beginnings. And I imagine you could point out all kinds of situations in your life and what you've seen that shows that happening right now in our world, with bold people speaking out where necessary for change. And then we've got collective evolution, systems transform, and a new world emerges. And that's Pluto. Pluto is our outermost planet. It takes the longest to go around the zodiac. The last time Pluto was in Aquarius was during the Revolutionary War. So it's a very slow moving. So it is the one, it's the most foundational of the three outer planets. And it's the one it's creating this change. When it hits a sign, change happens within that realm, right? So in Aquarius, what are we talking about? That's the collective. Okay, Aquarius is all of humanity together. We're talking about humanity. We're talking about systems. That's where the systems come from. So there's deep formation, technical revolution, and it says the awakening of humanity creates a better future for all, and that is what we're working toward here. So all of these things are feeding into the Pluto transformation of Aquarius. We are in the age of Aquarius, I would say, right? So ideas connect, inspiration moves, transformation lasts. It's this permanent change. Okay. When minds are open, hearts are brave, and we work together, we can build the future we came here to create. I give AI the idea. I tell them, do this and do this and do this. And then it puts all these words in there, and I'm like, oh my God, it's so full of words. But I guess it's helpful to have that there. You have these slides to snapshot and look at later if you want to kind of reflect if you wanted to look at them later. But I just think having the imagery here, it kind of gives you an idea. So this is all happening in the background. It's been happening in the background since last year, and it's continuing on this year until about July when things start to change a little bit. And I think it's really cool. Okay, another thing that's kind of happening, at least for this month, we've got Uranus bending the nodes, meaning it's in a square. So if you look here, you've got, this is Uranus. I don't know if you can see my cursor, hopefully you can, but this is Uranus, and it's squaring, and it has this red line with a square in the middle of it to this horseshoe shape, the south. This is the south node when the horseshoe is looking like a U. And when you go to the other side, there's another red line with a square in the middle. That's a square to the north node. These are calculated points based on the moon cycles, the moon. And the south node is about letting go of things, and the north node is about consuming or taking in and building up that side of things. So we can see the south node is in Virgo. Here we go, south node in Virgo. And we can see the north node is in Pisces. Over here, you have the north node in Pisces. And so we're moving away from this over to this. And the square is what encourages movement. It's urging, it's encouraging you to move. It's making you say, okay, I'm not happy with this. I need to change something. And what it's changing is away from this into this. And this is happening for everyone, right? On the whole, in the collective. So here you got Marty McFly again. He's our old Uranus and Gemini representation here. And he's saying, hey, you know what? I'm moving, I've done enough analyzing and controlling of my environment and trying to be perfect and worrying about what's exactly right. And I'm going to move over to surrendering and trusting more my instinct and trying to, work more with my gut and what my instinct is telling me is the right thing. And that is the movement that we're moving from. We're letting go of this and acquiring this. And that's Uranus bending the nodes. So what's it say down here? Invention and information are the bridge. So that's Uranus and Gemini, invention and information. The soul is the destination. So by letting go of some of these things, somehow all of this invention and communication that we're doing right now is moving us. The things that we're using and doing and creating are moving us toward a path where it's more Pisces in nature. It's less detail oriented. It's less building blocks oriented and more like we're part of the collective and kind of thinking. I'm thinking quantum. So that is going on until the end of June, the Uranus bending the nodes like that. So there's a big push that way. And you may see stuff come out in the news about, new technology or changes in information, social media, something that makes it easier to connect. I don't know how that can get any easier to you, but, things like that. So let's move on to the next. Now we're going to start talking about less about the ongoing themes that have been happening and more about what's happening this week. So this week, we've got a Venus conjunct Jupiter, which if you look right down here where my cursor is in Cancer, the light green area of the chart, you've got Venus and Jupiter together at 25 degrees in Cancer. And then also at the same time, you've got Mercury square Saturn. Mercury is over here near Venus and Jupiter in the same sign of Cancer. And there's a red line, a square, connecting it over to Saturn over in Aries, which is the red section at 12 degrees here. So what does that mean? Well, Venus and Jupiter are what we call the great benefics. They bring good, blessings, to people. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, which means it really loves being there. And, with Venus next to it, it's just a lovely energy. It's a very nice energy for the day. So what does it look like? I guess in Cancer, being in Cancer, that's about family and it's emotions, it's home and family, it's security, and it's just the whole focus. It puts the whole focus on, what do I want to feel secure? I want to be with my home and family. I want to establish something like that for myself. So, people who are single might be thinking about marriage proposals. You might be thinking about asking someone. They might be thinking about starting, if they're already together, starting or growing a family, or they might be thinking about buying a house, or, if it's not relationship oriented that way, maybe there's like partnerships happening with other people in regards to Cancer type industries or corporations, or, like the real estate market, for example. There might be a lot going on in the real estate market because it's in Cancer. I would see kind of maybe a little boom happening in the real estate market. And it's probably been happening for a while because of Jupiter being within the Cancer here, but it's getting ready to move out. So just FYI, I'm not offering any kind of investment advice, just saying what I see in the astrology. So anyway, with Venus conjunct Jupiter, you get, you see the couple talking together, making future plans. You get a lot of that kind of energy. And with that same connection between Mercury in Cancer and Saturn in Aries, Saturn, it's like new commitments. Saturn can be commitments, and Aries is like moving forward with things. That's why the marriage proposal thing is coming out there. So serious conversations come up with Mercury, and so you might have serious conversations. What are we doing with our future, or what do we want to accomplish together, or that kind of thing. You might have questions about security, loyalty, and long-term plans, and so on. Okay, so that's what to expect around June 9th, Tuesday. Depending on how it aspects your chart, everybody will experience it differently. And then at the same time, all this is happening, we got the sun in Gemini, and the sun in Gemini is ruled by Mercury, which is part of this aspect here. So that means, how you feel, your purpose, how you shine, is going to have a lot to do with working out having these serious conversations. So with the sun being involved, it's going to affect, make you want to do that. All right, so that's June 9th, and then let's move on to Thursday. No, 9th, 4 days later, Tuesday, Saturday. Venus enters Leo, and this is, now wait a minute, did I say June 9th? Yeah, June 9th, okay. All right, yeah, I skipped the square part. I didn't talk about that. I didn't think it was worth talking about. So this is really fun. Okay, so we've got Venus down here entering into the sign at 0 degrees Leo on June 13th. And when Venus enters Leo, remember, Venus is what you attract, what you are attracted to. And Leo is it rules a lot of entertainment, a lot of actors, also our leaders. Donald Trump is a Leo rising. He's a showman in how he does things, right? So it kind of gives you an idea that, a person with that Leo energy can tend to be very demonstrative of, in this case, we got Maverick here, singing "You've Got That Lovin' Feeling" to the girl that he's interested in. He's being very demonstrative. He's out, being right out there, putting it out for everyone to see. He's a showman. So you're going to become very aware of of how you present to others or how you look to others. You might want to change how you look to others. Maybe you'll get a new haircut, new outfit. So we're going to be more aware of how we're looking with other people and stuff. And we might even find that we're attracting new people into our world that weren't there before, because we become in some way more attractive to them. So this is a fun time. It's a fun time. So for example, what are some of the things we might see? Well, we got drama, love, creativity. So we got romance, confidence. Leo can give you some confidence. It also is a very creative sign. So you might feel very creative. You can also be Leo is a very generous sign. So you might feel very generous toward others. And it's just fun. So enjoy this time with Venus going into Leo, because it's a nice time of the year when we have that. And finally, we've got on the world stage to conclude this week. We talked about the Venus conjunct Jupiter in Cancer. So what does that mean? People will be seriously talking about their commitments with each other and their future plans. On the world stage, that urge is there. On the collective, it affects our governments and our corporations, etc. So commitments are going to be happening on that larger stage as well. You'll probably see maybe the U.S. will be creating, new arrangements, new commitments, new treaties, new whatever with some other countries, and we'll see how that works out. And also with Venus moving into Leo, there may be some interesting displays from world leaders revealing old wounds. And the reason I bring that up is because that particular aspect does connect with Chiron. Chiron is in the picture there, which is about old wounds, learning from old wounds, and then utilizing that knowledge to help others. That's kind of a Chiron thing. So there could be a revelation there, world leaders on the world stage, something about old wounds or things that maybe we didn't know about before coming out. It's hard to say, but that's a possibility with Venus in Leo, with that connection to the Chiron, it's square connection there. And trine to Neptune. Yeah. So that's what's happening this week in the astrology. And what I'll go ahead and do is a quick read on the week to see what the tarot and what universe wants to tell us about this week. Okay, so let's see. Oops. I guess that one wants to be seen. Let's see what the energies are for the week of June 7th, starting Sunday, the June 7th. I thought I would pull an oracle card here to kind of set the tone, and then I'm going to do a different spread. I think the pyramid spread is what it's called, which is 7 card. It's a 7 card. It's a 7 card spread that shows past, present, future, the hidden influence, 2 advice cards or additional information cards, and outcome. Okay, so I'm going to do that for this. That's going to be our first card. Okay, and this is going to be our oracle card. I want to cut the deck. All right. I'm just going to lay these out face down, and then I'll turn them up. So let me see here. I can see all that okay. And I'll put this one over here. And do. All right. Everything is visible, it appears. All right. Okay, so Oracle card for the day, King of Vessels, which is like the King of Cups. So you can see here, everything's backwards, so King of Cups. There's a man on his kayak, kayaking down. He's got it. He's on that waterfall, and he's got it. He's taken the adventure. So I'm going to go back and look in the vessels. Got right to it. That's nice. King of Vessels. It says, in life, you experience different emotions and relationships as you try new activities. You start by dipping your toes in, then explore increasingly difficult adventures as you gain new skills. Some experiences are only achievable after years of dedication. You don't simply grab a paddle and jump into Class 5 whitewater on day one. Like the Queen, the King of Vessels is a true master of his watercraft. At one with his sport, he handles the kayak as if it's part of his body, fully understanding its potential and its limits. This king indicates there may be a person in your life you can look to as a mentor, or it may even be you, as you realize your own abilities. Look to this vessel for ideas of how you can use your knowledge to be a leader and inspiration to others, and do so with love. I think that very much fits into the energy this week with Venus. To be a, when Venus goes into Leo, Leo is also leadership. So how can you lead, right? So knowledge of how to be a leader, to realize you have what it takes, that people will be attracted to you, and that you can be a leader for others. So let's put this over here. This is to help guide us. Now let's go ahead and look at the past. And we already looked at that. That is the Seven of Wands. And at present, not wands, I'm sorry, swords. And at present we've got the Five of Swords, and then we got the World. So it looks like there's a lot of mental energy going on here. There's a lot of mental energy where we've had to kind of navigate and bargain, perhaps, manipulate in order to make things happen. There's been some effort and struggle mentally. There's a lot going on there mentally. And then here we've got someone who, it's like there's no winner in this particular case. He thinks he's won, but he's driven the others away. So it's temporary, it's a 5, but it's a situation where instead of collaborating together, they fought with each other. And now, one says, yeah, I'm right, but the others are like, yeah, you're right. And they walk away. So at present, you may feel like within your own mind or with others that there's no middle ground. You may feel like it's one way or the other, and there's no middle ground. But if you look in the future here, we are stepping through to a new way, right? That what we were thinking in the past is changing. And what's the hidden influence for that? The star, Aquarius. So I think it's kind of like we've got this, the star is astrology. So it's kind of like there's this spiritual influence that changes how we see things, so that this is in the past. We can see more easily how things can be compromised, or how cooperation can happen. We're more in control of our emotion. Maybe you don't get triggered as easily. Emotionally speaking, we're feeling on top of our game, and that we can handle things. So with that ability, And that might be with the Venus Cancer conjunction, right? Or the Venus Jupiter conjunction in Cancer. So there is some energy this week that kind of helps get us away from this feeling of having to maybe avoid certain discussions. You know, he's avoiding to some extent, avoiding, arguing, always trying to do these mental gymnastics around others to avoid certain topics or whatever. And we're going to feel like we can do that. We can do that more easily. We can actually bring up the topics and it'll work out just fine. And we can navigate those things without a problem. So let's get some advice here. Yeah, so it's saying, yeah, you've kind of felt trapped within your own thoughts about what you're able to think about or what you're able to discuss with others. And we're moving to a place where we feel more confident in ourselves and our instincts. You know, we're feeling like yeah, I've got this. There's just a confidence level that comes, and that's Venus moving into Leo. There's a confidence level that comes with this new astrology, you know, the shift in astrology that enables us to go through this portal and feel like, yeah, we don't have to do this anymore. We can say what we think and say it articulately so that, you know, it can be out there and we can handle the reaction and it's not going to be so offensive or what we think might be offensive. Maybe it won't be as offensive as we think, you know. And then finally, the outcome. Yeah, great. Wonderful outcome. So we've got the Six of Wands, which is showing us, you know, we're celebrating or we're being celebrated for who we are and for what we've accomplished. So I think this is a great week for getting over some hurdles regarding what you felt like you had to keep in your mind because you didn't want to offend or you didn't want to deal with the feedback of what you might say, because you're imagining in your own mind that there's going to be this reaction, and that's not the case. You're going to handle it well, handle it like a pro, and you're going to celebrate that. So I hope you all have a wonderful week. I think with the energy here, there's like some really great stuff happening this week for people. You know, with the Venus and Jupiter conjunction in Cancer, it's going to bring in some really great energy. And with Venus moving into Leo, it's just some really positive energy happening this week. So enjoy it, you know, enjoy this week and what it has to offer. And if you liked the video and you liked this astrology, please consider giving me a thumbs up. If you have any suggestions for things you would like to hear in it, you know, feel free to leave that in the comments. Suggestions, feedback. I'm willing to hear the feedback. I have a huge Virgo stellium and I'm good with criticism and feedback, so you know, I would be happy to hear it. And again, on Wednesday, I will have a What's the Word Wednesday, where I'll take something from that's been discussed in the news and do a read on it and see if I can glean any important information from that. I'm just looking here and seeing how everything's crooked. I'm sorry, it's all crooked. Oh well, I'm doing my best. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on Wednesday. Bye.